An eagle killed a 3-year-old and carried the body up to its nest. That is not a guess. The skull is still here, with claw punctures in the eye sockets and a groove torn across the top of it. Exactly the marks eagles leave on monkeys they kill today. The child is called the Taung Child. It lived in South Africa 2.5 million years ago. It is one of the most important fossils ever dug up, and it is in our hands today because a bird carried it off as food. It gets worse. In another South African cave, there is a piece of a human skull with 2 neat holes punched through the top. In the same layer of dirt, they found the leopard. The holes fit its lower canines. Victim and murder weapon in one hole in the ground. And the victim is us. And here is the detail that should change how you look at a museum case. A large share of the early human fossils from those South African caves are there because something ate them. Cats fed in the trees, standing over the cave shafts, and the leftovers dropped down the hole. Ancient humans entered the fossil record as prey. The only reason we can study them now is that predators collected them for us first. And this was not a one-off piece of bad luck in the deep past. Eagles, that size, still take young monkeys out of trees today. And that is how the Taung skull was identified. Somebody compared it to what modern eagles leave behind. So how long were we on that menu? Longer than we have been off it. Because we did not simply stop being prey, we went all the way to the other end of the chain. Researchers went through 400 separate studies to settle what Stone Age humans actually lived on, and the answer was not roots and berries. For 2 million years, humans were hypercarnivores. More than 7/10 of the energy came from animals, which is the diet of a lion, not of a clever monkey. Plants only became serious late, long after the body plan was finished. So where did all that meat go? Into the most expensive organ any animal has ever grown. And you are still carrying the receipts for the diet that paid for it. Human stomach acid is savage, closer to a scavenger's than a fruit eater's, strong enough to handle meat that has been lying around for days. Human fat sits in many small cells, the way it does in predators. And while the chimpanzee genome was opening regions up for a sugar-rich diet, ours was shutting them down for a diet of fat. Now go back to that cave with the leopard in it. In a younger layer of the very same cave lie burnt bones, some of the oldest traces of controlled fire anywhere on the planet, 1.5 million years old. Read those 2 layers in order. Bottom. A cat eats us. Top. We are living in its cave and burning things. Nothing about the animal in between changed shape. The equipment changed. And fire did something bigger than cooking. It took the night. Every predator on the savanna avoids a burning fire, which means the first people who could keep one alive were the first animals of our size that could sleep on open ground and wake up whole. Everything that has ever eaten us hunts in the dark, and we took the dark away from them. So what did we eat before we could kill anything worth eating? The part nobody else could open. Round stones shaped to fit a hand turn up almost 2 million years back, and their job was cracking bones. A lion strips a carcass and walks away. And everything rich is still locked inside the skeleton, out of reach of every jaw on the savanna. We had the only tool on the continent that could get at it. Our species did not start at the top of the meal. It started at the part of the meal that came after the top. So what was the first real weapon? Not the spear. Sweat. We are the best long-distance animal on this planet, and nobody thinks of it as a weapon. A horse cools itself by panting, and it cannot pant properly while it gallops. We cool ourselves while moving, straight through the skin, with no fur in the way. So you never have to outrun anything. You only have to keep it running until it overheats and goes down, and then walk up to it. If that sounds like a story, there is a race in Wales that tests it every summer. Over 22 miles of hills, runners against horses. A man won it outright. 3 years later, runners beat the lead horse by 11 minutes. Ordinary people and trainers, on a weekend, doing to a horse what our ancestors did to antelope for a living. And why can a 10-year-old boy throw a stone harder than a fully grown chimpanzee? Because the human shoulder is a catapult. It winds up, stores the energy in stretched tissue, and releases it, and the result is the fastest movement the human body is capable of making. A chimp is several times stronger than you and cannot do it at all. That anatomy shows up together, as a set, around 2 million years ago. And after that, a human being became something that could hurt you from across a clearing without touching you. Then the equipment got serious. In a German coal mine, in ground 300,000 years old, archaeologists pulled 10 wooden spears out of the dirt, cut from spruce trunks, some of them longer than a man is tall, tapered and weighted exactly like javelins. Around them lay the rest of the story. Thousands of butchered animal bones, mostly horses. Replicas of those spears fly 20 meters. That is not a hungry ape creeping in to steal scraps off a lion kill. That is a hunting party with standard-issue weapons, killing herd animals in the open and doing it so often the bones pile up. And once you can kill a horse from 20 meters, the list of things that frighten you starts getting shorter. So what happens to the animals that used to eat us? In Germany, there is a cave lion skeleton with a hole punched up through a rib from underneath, made by a wooden spear driven into its chest. Somebody walked toward a lion on purpose and killed it by hand. What do you do with a predator once you have won? You use it. In another German cave, lion toe bones lie in a layer nearly 200,000 years old, in exactly the pattern left behind when a pelt is cut free from the feet. Sit with that for a second. Not only were we killing the cats that had been eating us for 2 million years, we were wearing them. And here is the sentence that closes the whole arc. At a lake in Germany, a wooden spear was found lying between the ribs of a straight-tusked elephant, an animal of 13 tons, the largest thing walking the earth at the time. Somebody stood in front of it and put a sharpened stick through its chest. And one adult elephant like that carried the day's food for 2,500 people, which tells you these were not lone heroes. That was an organized operation with a plan for the meat. So what does an apex predator actually look like if you met one? Nothing like this. That is what the top of the food chain looks like from the inside. No claws, no armor. No fangs, no shell, no venom, nothing on the body that would tell you what it is. Every single thing that made us dangerous was carried rather than grown. And why did none of the animals we were eating ever catch up? Because they were playing a different game entirely, which is exactly why our side of it happened so fast. Evolution is slow because a body is slow, but a spear can be improved in an afternoon, and a technique can be taught in a week. A leopard's children get the same teeth their parents had. Our children got the teeth, plus everything the last generation had figured out. You still carry the other half of it, and you feel it most nights. The jolt when something moves at the edge of your vision in the dark. The refusal to sleep with a door open. The way a shape in a corner resolves into a face before it resolves into a coat. That equipment was not built by anything modern. It was built by several million years of being small, soft, slow, and edible. And it never got switched off, because nothing removes hardware that once worked. So both animals are still in there, the one that hunted an elephant with a stick, and the one that watched the dark and counted heads. Which brings it back to that skull with the 2 holes in it. They sit exactly as far apart as a leopard's teeth, and for most of the time our family has existed, that was the ordinary ending. Then the same animal, with the same body, walked up to the biggest creature on land and killed it with a sharpened branch. Nothing grew. Nothing evolved a weapon. We simply stopped running, turned around, and started arriving.